you're so moved and you want to participate, we're going to allow you all to raise your hands today and come into the space. So there's that. Um, let's see. I have to fix something I just realized on my presentation here. I hope I got this right. I wanted to try something new today. So, oh, good, I did do it right. Okay. So with that, it's going to be pretty informal today, everybody. I want it to be more interactive. The world is on fire. Literally, like two aircrafts collided. What I think it was 16 years since we've had that kind of catastrophe happen. And just what, 9 days into this new administration, maybe it's not a good idea to hire a Fox weekend host to be in charge of transportation or, the military. Maybe it's not a good idea to have a former MTV Real World Roadhouse guy as our director of transportation. I mean, call me crazy. I'm a big fan of qualifications and degrees, but in this new landscape or hellscape we're in, people don't really like a lot of expertise because they're already the experts. I'm sure most of you encounter this on a regular basis. So for today, like I said, I really want this to be more interactive. I'll be providing updates for the state legislature and for local school boards that I've been paying attention to. I want everybody to know that we have our secular day at the Capitol that's happening on Thursday, March 6th, and it'll be happening from 10 to 1. We also are putting together a fundraiser. One of our speakers on this date is going to be Seth Andrews. He's known as the Thinking Atheist, and he's an author and has podcasts. So you'll want to get in there and register. I saw that Lindsay dropped the link in there. So we've got other great speakers lined up. And if you're interested in the fundraiser event where you could have an opportunity to talk to Seth Andrews one-on-one with some food and drinks, please get on there and sign up. So save your seat, everybody. All right. And I think with that, I am going to, let me get my ish together here. Make sure I'm on the right screen. And I am going to share my screen. Yes, Seth is so much fun. I mean, the last time that I saw Seth, uh, my stomach hurt from laughing so hard. Really, he puts together a great presentation, and I really enjoy everything that he has to say. His perspective is great, coming from Oklahoma and a very evangelical family. All right. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. I cannot monitor the chat, so perhaps if somebody, I know that Ian's here, I know Eddie's here, and Lindsay's here, so if you all could take, just look at the chat for me, that would be great. All right, so I'm kind of compiling some of the different presentations that I've already done this year. So if you see some of this, don't worry, I've changed it up a little bit. I just, after the election, I decided to decorate my Christmas tree, and I did it with listening to Pussy Riot and Rage Against the Machine, because I just didn't put on Christmas carols. It just didn't feel appropriate this year. But yes, and yes, don't judge me. I put my Christmas tree up on like November 6th because it was the only thing I could do. All right, let's move on. So let's try this. I want to see if this is going to work. I wanted to know how everybody's doing and thought we could create a word cloud. I put something together. So if you have your smartphone, you can click here. Oh shoot, you know what? Oop, that's not what I meant to do. So if you can use your smartphone to get this QR code, there's also the link that I put up there. I'll give you all a few minutes, and I'm doing this, like I said, as an experiment. So let's see if it works. I still want to get back to that other screen. Okay. So quiet. So I'm assuming right now that, I'm gonna take a look at the chat real quick. Okay. So I'll give you a few more seconds here, put in your words. Hopefully this is working. It's very quiet because we're in a webinar format. All right, I'm going to click the results right now. Okay, so let me make sure. I want to make sure that I'm sharing the right screen here. So let me try this. Okay, share again. And this time, let's pull up on the screen what we see. All right, so how are we doing, secular fam? Oh, good. I'm glad to see that angry is bigger than scared, you know, but we're all scared right now. Proud of some journalists. I love that one because punch drunk, yep. Fetal position. I did that last week. Cat herding. Cat herding. Okay. Good. I like to see people protecting LGBTQ youth. And this kind of brings me to a concept that I've been thinking about, you know, this way to kind of get me through the day. I feel like each of us are, you know how there's fight, flight, and freeze. I feel like right now we're in like um, lift and lean phase, right? You know, like last week, I really needed to lean on my colleagues and my friends because I was despondent. I was in a fetal position, um, you know, but then something happened and the anger just started seeping into my veins. And I got into a lift position where I feel like I can lift people up because I have the strength to. So I just want to, you know, recommend that all of us maybe keep that in mind, that we're all going to be in different spaces of, you know, feelings and stuff like that. All right, let me get back to my other slide here. Let's see. I never have to share things, so I'm really bad at it and I'm really sorry. So let's see, can I share something new now? Let's go back to my slideshow presentation. And here we are. Now let me go to the next slide. So oops, back. Sorry. I should have warned you about that picture. All right, here's another one. How are we coping? What are we doing? Because who knows? Maybe we could do something that is healthy or unhealthy, or maybe somebody has a coping mechanism that they would like to share. So go ahead, and if you want to take a minute and click on that link, I'm going to stop my share for a second while y'all put in your words. So how are you coping, secular fam? All right. Oh, okay. So yeah, if you don't have it, if you're not able to do a QR code, please, like Rebecca, she's frustrated. So go ahead and throw your words in there. I'll give you a couple minutes to say how you're coping.
Hey, Jeannie, can you share that last QR code again?
Oh, sure. I'm so sorry. Wait, is it okay? Let me do the screen sharing again. I'll put it right back up. Thank you for bearing with me, everybody. I appreciate you. I really do feel like you know, I'm in a room with friends, and so that is these Friday spaces just really are helpful to me, and I hope that they are helpful to you as well. So how are you coping? I'll give you another minute or so to go ahead and put in 3 words. Let us know how you're doing. I'm going to pull my screen up over here while you're finishing up. Okay, what did I do wrong here? Did I do something wrong? How do I see the results? Did I screw this one up? Okay, it won't let me. I don't know if I'll be able to see the results from this one. It's not the same. What am I doing wrong? Oh my gosh. Hasn't changed slides yet. I have no idea why it's saying that. This may not be working. Let me see if I can try it again. My apologies. Maybe we'll just move right into the presentation. I'm really sorry about this, folks. We can't put it in there. It's all my fault. I apologize. I see people saying podcast. I talk about Behind the Bastards all the time. If books could kill. All right. You know what? Unfortunately, this little failed experiment is not working. So with that, I'm just going to go ahead and go back. Let me know. Now, are we looking at the how are we coping secular fam thing? You said weed 3 times. I said weed, memes, and family and friends. So let's be honest here. Weed does help a lot. Coming to see a secular fam. Absolutely. That is definitely something. I could have just done this in the chat, but I thought the word cloud thing would be fun. All right, let me make sure that I can that you all are seeing the same thing that I am. And I'm gonna go back to sharing my screen. All right. Yeah, my secular fam gets me through an awful lot, I'll tell you what. All right, here we are. Back to the presentation once and for all. Thank you for your patience. I'm probably losing people like crazy. All right, here we go. All right, so let's get us back into the world of Arizona. In case you don't know who our Senate president is, it's Warren Peterson. He's an actual senator. And isn't it uncanny how much he looks like Bill Henrickson from Big Love, the HBO series? It's like, I showed it to my daughter the other day because she's watching Big Love, and she was like, ah, it's crazy because he's really a despicable character on the show. And there's some commonalities here. I think they're both Mormon. I don't know how many wives Peterson has, but Bill Henrickson has 3. So, good times. All right. So let's go ahead and get right into it, folks. It hadn't been pretty. It never is pretty at the legislature. In fact, it's ugly, ugly, ugly all the time. So some of the things that came up this week, and I know I'm going to be missing some things. I'm really just trying to focus on the things that coincide with the issues that Secular AZ focuses on. So here are some of the things that came up this week. John Kavanaugh, who is singularly focused on children's genitalia and has been since 2012. He really paved the way for transphobia. There was one about pronouns, one about bathrooms. Unfortunately, both of those passed out of committee, but I do have a little video that I'm going to show you here in a second where you can see somebody kind of get him real flustered, and I really enjoyed that. There was SB 1090, which was about book bans of sexually explicit materials. Again, this ban would ban books like the Bluest Eye, Night by Ellie Weisel, like just tons of classic literature because the only pornography they like comes straight out of the Bible, I guess. That one is also there's a similar bill, SB 1099 in Senate government, and that one also passed out of committee. There was HB 2018. This one was, I want to say Matt Gress. Matt Gress, boy, oh boy, I could say so many things. This one is about giving public dollars to private universities. So like Grand Canyon University, Arizona Christian University would now get public dollars. I just want to check the chat real quick. All right, good. Yeah, and also, oh, yes, it criminalizes librarians. Thank you for pointing that out, Farrell. There was actually, we've connected with a representative. She is the public policy advisor for Penguin Books, and her testimony was about how, hey, hello, we are the #1 publisher of books in the world, and we have a problem with this. So much for free market capitalism, because, like I said, they only like the pornography that comes out of the Bible. HB 2022, I believe, comes from Wynn. This guy is obsessed with guns and wants to put a gun in every teacher's hand. I was talking to a friend of mine who teaches 5th grade, and she had a really bad day with her fifth. I vomit hearing Matt Gross's name. Anyway, she had a really bad day, and was kind of debriefing. And I said, well, let me tell you about my day. I watched a committee here. And I said, well, I might have an answer to your problems because there is a legislator who wants to give you a gun. And she was like, oh my God, no, if I had a gun today, I don't know who I would have shot. So like, let's just not, okay? This isn't a great idea. It could traumatize children or staff that's been, a victim of gun violence. It's just a terrible bill. We know this. HB 2113, which is put out by a new freshman legislator, Nick Cupper. And Nick Cupper, as far as I can tell, every day cosplays as a Hitler Youth. Go ahead and Google his name if you want to, because that hard part, the blonde hair, blue eyes, really, and you just have to see it because I swear he's cosplaying as a Hitler Youth because he looks like he's 12 too. But that would ban, basically, they're going after pride flags. They're trying to say that no other flag except for American flags. So let's think about all that, right? You got the Don't Tread on Me. They could justify an appeal to heaven flag saying that is an American flag. They could put a Confederate flag there. That is technically a Confederate flag. They're really just going after rainbow flags, inclusion flags. They could even have the thin blue line flag, right? Because it's an American flag with that thin blue line. So we know what they're targeting here, and it's really in response to Governor Hobbs and her unwavering support of the LGBTQ community. In HB 2062 in House government, there is a trans erasure bill. It would put a very narrow definition on sex, and I think it eliminates the idea of gender altogether. Or they just say that sex and gender are the same thing, which they are not. So, of course, that one made it out of committee. And several lawmakers have already promised that, they already know that it's going to be vetoed by Hobbs because of her unwavering support for the LGBTQ community. So, they're going to put it up as a ballot initiative to go directly to the voters. Now, the way that works, it doesn't happen in odd numbered years. So I heard in one of my meetings yesterday that so far the House has already put out 47 of these kinds of bills. Now, I haven't checked that, but just imagine, because these folks cannot, they can't collaborate, they can't listen to their constituents, they won't work with Katie Hobbs. So their only solution is to put them directly to the voters. Now, the only reason this didn't go directly to the voters in the 2024 election was because Senator Ken Bennett from Prescott would not vote for it. And of course, he got primaried out because that vote amongst the MAGA people is enough to excommunicate him from the cult. So, yeah, 47. Erica's here. Erica spoke to many of the anti-trans bills, 47 House concurrent resolution bills, but a lot of them are proclamations and not ballot initiatives. Okay, good. Thank you for that clarification, Erica. She is a tireless volunteer and is I don't, do you live at the Capitol, Erica? Because it kind of seems like you do. And she's saying also that there are 29 House ballot initiatives. Now, there was actually some good news this week, which is crazy. It never happens. But we had a bill, HB 2213, that allows for school lunches, for universal school lunches. I never thought that a Republican in Arizona would put forward a bill like this. I think that they collaborated maybe with Nancy Gutierrez from the Tucson area, who is a teacher. And then another one that passed out of committee was SB 1041. And this one would allow school board candidates to get electronic signatures. So instead of having to carry around clipboards with paper petitions, they can now go through the elections portal, which as a former school board member, I actually appreciate that very much. And especially in larger districts, when I ran for school board, I think the minimum number I had to get was about 112. It was a small K8 district, but for a very large district like Deer Valley and Paradise Valley and Mesa, we're talking, hundreds of signatures. So that is going to be a big help. I do have a couple of videos here, and I really hope that they work. So let's make sure. I just want to talk first about the trans erasure ban. And this is a tough video to watch. So I just want to warn everybody that this is about some of these executive orders that are dehumanizing trans folks. So let's see if this actually works. And you all have to tell me if I'm going anywhere. Can you still see my screen? Is it going now to an Instagram or is it still the same? I can't tell.
It went to an Instagram.
Okay, good. That's what I want. 1 second. Let's get that volume up.
A new passport after mine was expired, and I've been impacted by the executive order, and they are effectively banning me from travel, though they will not call it a travel ban. They stated that they would at first give me a passport that had the male identifier on it, though I have my sex legally changed to female. And 2 states and administratively with the federal government through Social Security before as well. And after claiming that they would give me the male one, I said any is fine as long as I'm able to travel. They came back and said that actually this is the first we're hearing that, and we won't be able to give you that either. We won't be able to give you any passport. We have no further information. They wouldn't tell me anything. I spoke to one person who wouldn't give me any information, which led to me speaking to a supervisor. And they towed the same line where they will not call it an effective travel ban, though that is the impact where my travel plans I cannot make. They will not give me any passport with any name, gender, sex of any form. And that is the case of what we are dealing with right now in the United States. There is an effective travel ban. If you are trying to get a passport and you've had any sort of change with your gender, I've heard a lot of people saying things like, oh, it's fine if you just want to get a passport with your old gender, it's fine. That's not true. They will not give it to me. And when I asked for more answers, I only left the office under threat of arrest. They stated that they would arrest me if I asked any more questions. So I left peacefully, but I only left under threat of arrest. And it seems that I will not be able to travel outside of this country.
So that's just a little taste. This is America 2025. Really frightening stuff. And that is exactly what HB 2062 intends to do. As you can see, that woman basically was erased. They took all of her documents. So this is the beginning of what happened in Nazi Germany. I mean, and I'm not being hyperbolic here. And yes, this stuff is devastating on the daily for folks. There were several speakers during that bill and the other bills that were emotional. One young man is leaving the country, and lucky for him, his mother happens to be British, so he has dual citizenship and can actually leave. But in the case of many people, they don't have any in to another country. And so this is really scary stuff, folks. Now, I do want to share another quick clip that I have. Catherine Miranda is an interesting legislator. In the past, she's supported some of these, abortion bans or abortion ban lights or whatever. So it was really pleasantly surprising the other day to see her in the Senate Education Committee, where she kind of spanked John Kavanaugh. So this is a little bit longer video, but it's always a good day when there's a flustered John Kavanaugh. So let me get to the exact spot where this happens. There was another wonderful speaker there. Her name was Sandy, and she is a minister with the United Methodist Church. It'll take me just a second to get to the point here.
Order.
It's 1:49.
Secretary, please call the roll.
Okay,
By saying provide an alternate location. So I think this tries to accommodate everybody, but respect the human sense of basic modesty.
and this is in discussion of the bathroom ban.
Years ago, when you first introduced the bathroom bill, very first time, and I remember the moment that there was a transgender that testified, and it was obvious that it was the first time you ever met a transgender person, because it was a very, I'll spur your memory here. It was a very strong looking man with a deep voice. And he asked you, and you can pull the recordings, it was years ago. And he asked you, do you want me to go into the women's restroom as your bill is stating? You literally got the bill and you were confused. And you stopped the bill because it was a learning moment for you. So that's just a little piece of history to kind of remind you of your very first bill years ago. But my question to this bill, and I appreciate you're trying to accommodate now, because it was a tough decision for you back then. But my question to this bill to you now is, many trans kids have lived for years as themselves. Are you concerned that if we pass this bill, that they may now get harassed or discriminated against?
Mr. Chair, again, first let me address my history in terms of when was the first time that I saw a transgendered person. I was born and raised in New York City, and I was a Port Authority cop for 20 years.
Okay, nobody cares.
Most
We're
of
gonna
that
go a little bit.
was prostitute
Nobody cares.
to sensitivities and
He
modesty.
equivalates
Males
basically
and
trans
females,
people
I
to
apologize,
prostitutes.
but I wrote this bill numerous times. In terms of has to overcome, the individuals. But one of the things I learned over the years running this bill is that all the opponents always want to meet and debate me in the bathroom. Nobody wants to meet and debate me in the school shower.
No, that's
So I
true.
ask you, do you
Weirdo.
have a problem with a high school freshman co-ed, right? Maybe 14 years old, whatever, standing in a shower naked next to an 18-year-old male, biological male student who identifies as a female, standing next to each other both. Does that concern you? Because boy, it concerns me, and I know it concerns parents.
Mr. Chair, Senator Kavanaugh, it doesn't concern me because it's not happening. It's not happening. What are you afraid of? I mean, it's not happening. That's
Mr.
not
Chair.
happening in our schools.
Mr. Chair, if it's not happening, this bill will have no effect and will stop it if it should happen. So
Okay.
what's your problem with the bill? If you don't, do you think that's okay? If it happened, do you think that that's okay?
No, to answer your question, Mr. Chair, Senator Kavanaugh, what I'm afraid of is that you're outing these people. You're outing our kids by now creating this third location for them to use the restroom. You're outing them, putting them in danger of harassment and discrimination. That's what I'm concerned about.
Mr. Chair, I think they're being outed more when they stand in a shower naked in a room not aligned with their biological gender. You don't think those girls are going to notice that the person standing next to them is a biological male? That's more outing than them discreetly going to a faculty restroom somewhere else in the building. Would you not agree to that?
Mr. Chair, what I'm saying is that's not happening. So you don't have to worry about that.
Mr. Chair, supposing it did happen, would you oppose it? Would you oppose the biological male who's 18 in a shower naked next to a high school freshman female? If it happened, would you oppose it and change your mind about this bill?
Mr. Chair, for me to answer that question doesn't justify that this bill is right. My concern is that these kids are now going to be outed and discriminated against and harassed.
Mr. Chair, you didn't answer any of the questions on the last bill. So you're obviously not going to answer this question either, so I'm not going to push you on it.
So, Mr. Chair, I didn't get an answer.
You know
either.
what?
Are you concerned that they're going to get harassed or discriminated against?
Mr. Chair, Senator Miranda, I think there will be more harassment and discrimination and outing when a transgender female who is a biological male is seen standing naked in the girls' shower than if that same person discreetly between classes went to a facility or another private facility. I think there's much more public outing in the group shower than the one that I'm proposing as an alternative.
Senator,
Do you not agree?
Senator Kavanaugh and Senator Miranda, wait, I haven't acknowledged you.
Okay, we do not need to hear the dinosaur talk. He bragged about the fact that he was born in 1951. It's weird. Okay, let's go to the next one. So this one just kind of cropped up the other day. I just want to give everybody a picture of like what happens at the state legislature. And if you're, if you're so moved, if you want to put in the chat, like how many of you have actually watched, and I imagine it's a lot here in this group, but how many of you have actually watched a Senate or House committee hearing or any of the activities on the floor? Feel free to put it in the chat. But here is, I'll get to you in a second, Ron. So here's another one that came up from somebody the other day. Here's a Kavanaugh said in the same meeting that the idea for this bill came from the historically transphobic, the Atlantic cover, not from the experiences from constituents. Yes, he did. It's exactly what he said. He took an old article and used that as a weapon to, harm a good, a very small portion of our population, to be quite honest. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and click this link. You might have to listen closely. This is just a Facebook link that somebody sent me. And this is David Livingston. He's in LD 28. And this is how he feels about kids with disabilities. And I'm assuming y'all can see this, right? Yeah. Okay. So, and again, this is as loud as it gets. I apologize.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I hope you're not suggesting that we cut the services to our children
Yes, I am.
in order to save funding.
Yes, I am.
We will stop serving the needs of children with acute needs.
We will reduce the costs that we provide that, and we have to find ways to do it. Unlimited growth, no matter how helpful it is, the state cannot afford it. I think what a lot of people in America understands.
And this part really pissed me off because unlimited growth, we can't do this. What about the billionaires' unlimited growth? What about the corporations and the stakeholders' unlimited growth? What are we talking about here? We're talking about kids with disabilities and he's concerned with unlimited growth? Give me a break.
It's from the top in DC to here. Things are changing. We all go balanced budgets. The federal, we're just talking to where we are right now. The federal government is going to make cuts to the state of Arizona that will impact us sometime this year. The projected range of those cuts are minimum $1 billion to $3 billion, most likely. But I have seen estimates of $5, $6, $7, $8, $10 billion. We're not even talking about any of those members. We are just talking about right now. And the general public needs to be aware that this is coming and we have to make dramatic changes.
So yeah, they're a party of ghouls. They do not care about our most vulnerable members of society. And, the folks who joined Trump on his stage during the inauguration really provide a very clear example of that. So I wanted to share this with you because if you haven't watched a committee meeting, I highly recommend it. Really, you can, if you want, if this Rage Friday isn't enough for you and you really want to rage into the weekend, you can click either of these. Well, you can click the archive meetings. Go back to a Senate education or go back to a Senate government, and you will see the atrocious behavior of these individuals. So I personally feel like instead of teaching the kids about communism or 9/11, we need to teach the kids about what happens in their own state legislature, because I guarantee they would be outraged and activated. All right. Sorry, but there's more. And yeah, somebody said in the chat something about unlimited growth of vouchers. What about that, folks? They don't really seem to care about unlimited growth for me, but not for thee. And when we're saying unlimited growth about things like, kids with disabilities, what's wrong with you, Livingston? Anyway, all right. So some of the things that are on my radar, and oh wait, somebody was sharing their hand, weren't they? So let me see. Oh, the hand is down now. Okay, forget it. HB 2123, this is going to be in House Public Safety Monday at 2 p.m. This one provides protections for religious leaders. The root of this bill is about adding religious leaders to a list of people who can have their personal information kept confidential because of harassment. So this could go to like judges and elected officials and maybe I don't know if journalists is on there, but a whole different, a long list of people who deserve to be protected because they're in the public eye. They've decided to add religious leader protections. And so we're wondering, well, why not just all, nonprofits? I myself have been threatened, both in person and, through mail that comes into our PO box. So do I deserve protections? Because people have called me a demon and Satan, and they've called me a pedophile and all kinds of terrible things. So perhaps it could be broadened. So this is one that we definitely want to oppose. I have heard that there might be a friendly amendment there that could fix things, but for now, in the way that it's worded, we are opposing that one for sure. HB 2681, this will be in House Jude on Monday at 2 p.m. And this one puts restrictions on abortifacients. It would require that you consult with like an MD before you get them. A lot of these things are over the counter. I didn't go into details about everything in the bill, but all you need to know is that they're trying to ban abortion medication. And so that's one to oppose. I put this one up. I don't know enough about it, but I put it up because this is one that, like, Diane is always really keen on the naturopathic and the, what's the other kind of apathy? Homeopathy, right? Like, and so this one would allow for that to be funded with taxpayer dollars. And of course, we're going to oppose that one. HB 2670 is about how schools that actually teach that teach sex education would have, thank you, homeopathy, yeah. Schools that actually teach sex education, and remember, folks, that sex education instruction can only happen if the parents sign off on it in the state of Arizona. That's the only way it can happen. But this one would force there to be like a whole section about fetal development, right? Like, first of all, as somebody who has taught comprehensive sex ed before, that is a discussion that we have. So this is extraneous, it's unnecessary. And it seems to be about, like, it's like when you go to those crisis pregnancy centers. I've heard stories of women saying they put like this little fetus in your hand and they're like, this is how big your baby is right now. And this is their fingernails and they have this, and it's all stupid. Like, so it's just like trying to, put their spin on the role of women in this country, to be quite honest, and that their lives are less valuable than their unborn fetuses, and that they need to carry everything to term, whatever. All right, next we have HB 2438. And this goes along with 2062. This would ban any changes to birth certificates. We saw that video from Instagram. They took away that woman's, all of her vital information, all of her vital paperwork. And so this would ban anybody from making changes. Now, if anybody here knows and wants to chime in, I don't know if this is like trans specific. I would assume that it is, because I can't imagine that they could like ban somebody from changing their birth. Like for me, if I wanted to say maybe go back to my maiden name or just take on a new name together, I mean, like, you can actually change your birth certificate. In fact, I've heard people recommend it for married women who have taken their husbands or ex-husbands' names, because they could use it as a way to say that you can't get a passport. Like, I know this is Orwellian, but that's really what is kind of happening right now. All right, on our radar, we have SB 12. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I skipped one. 2216. Oh, good. Thank you. Diane Post just posted, National Organization of Women also does a weekly legislative alert covering the 6 primary issues of now and adding criminal justice. So if you're interested in that, send an email, go ahead and put it into the chat, and Diane will add you to that list. She does a pretty great job. Now does a great job. So does CEBV. So feel free to put those resources in, because we need all the help we can get. Pregnancy Center Grant Program. So this is another one, those, pretend like clinics. They're not really clinics. They are just an extension of fundamentalist Christians to try to keep women pregnant, essentially. And this one would open it up to grant funding. So that's another one that you'll want to oppose. We also have on our radar SB 1243. This one is in government on Wednesday at 9 a.m. And this would require that all public comments go to the beginning of the meeting. Now, this is happening because to gain control of school board meetings, a lot of school boards have opted to put their comments at the end. This not only protects the kids that might be there at the beginning of the meetings from hearing some of the most outrageous comments that I've ever heard in my life. It would allow for the meetings, the business part of the meeting to be more efficient so they can actually work on the business of the district rather than, listening to a bunch of Karen cult members complaining about every single thing that the district does, or, using slurs to describe students and staff. So we want to oppose that one because school boards should also be able to craft policies that fit their community. The government, the party of big government is no longer. They are now the party of Big Brother. They want to monitor and control absolutely everything that we do. Here's SB 1256. I think this one is Hoffman. There's something that, I don't know, Hoffman brings out a special kind of like hatred in my heart. And, I try not to hate people, but this guy, the way he treats people, it's rough. This one is a statewide DEI ban for any government agency. We need to start calling out what they mean when they say DEI ban. I have never been more disgusted than I was yesterday by that orange clown. To automatically vilify and demonize any kind of, what he was saying, that we shouldn't have women, we shouldn't have people of color, we shouldn't have people from the LGBTQ plus community, and we're going to clean house. And it was that house cleaning that caused that accident that he blamed on DEI initiatives. I'm sorry, diversity, equity, and inclusion, every study you ever read improves the outcomes for the organization that implements those policies. So we need to start calling these people out. When they say DEI, they're just saying that because they can no longer say the N-word. And we need to start calling out, since when is a diverse society bad? Since when is the idea of equity bad? Since when is including everybody in our community bad? So yeah, I've never been more grossed out, and those young skaters should, and everybody else on that plane should still be alive. Oh gosh. Whew. I can feel my heart racing. All right, let's move on. This one's a winner, right? SB 1269. It's going to be in Senate Ed Wednesday at 2 p.m. And this is for volunteer school chaplains. So what I would like to know, oh crap, is do we have anybody on the call from the Satanic Temple? Because we're going to need some of you to maybe chaplain it up, if you know what I mean. So yeah, if they want chaplains in schools, I'd love to see TST there, but of course we're going to oppose this because even TST doesn't want to be surrounded by children, right? Am I right? Just kidding. We all love kids. All right, I wanted to put this back up. This is the full House and Senate list. This comes from, oops, that source on the bottom is wrong. My apologies. But this list comes, I believe, right from CEBV. I'm pretty sure they put together a great list of who the entire roster is in the House and the Senate, and what committees they're on, who's the chair of those committees. So be sure to scan this so that you can save it and bookmark it, because it's a very useful tool for everybody. All right, it is 12:45. Holy cow, I'm slow. All right. There's also this, if you are interested, you can, so far this year, we've had more people signing up for RTS, I would say, than in the last 2 years combined. That is a good sign. I was at the Capitol yesterday, and reps from Save Our Schools, GLSEN, Planned Parenthood, and CEBV all said the same thing. They said that there's more people signing up. So call your representatives. I'm going to add call Congress now too. I don't usually focus on national politics, but please call your congressman and ask them to grow a freaking spine. You want to email your reps in school districts, show up to meetings, join committees, or volunteer. And this QR code will give you an opportunity to volunteer. All right, let's talk about school boards. And I'm so sorry, this took me longer than I thought. But that's good, because then I won't have to take too much of your day. In PUSD, this is the one that's giving me the most concern. They had a full MAGA takeover. Right now, that board is either 4-1 MAGA, or I would say maybe 3-1-1, which there's a moderate Republican there. But for a moderate Republican, she sure was happy to sit behind Donald Trump when he had a rally here in Phoenix. So whatever. But this one has the most potential to hurt kids, families, and teachers. They want to change out legal counsel, which is a huge conflict of interest, because the woman in this scary Karen Halloween costume is actually the president of the board, Heather Rooks. She's the one that was suing the district. And then the court, the judge was like, that you have no standing here. And the case, she lost her case. She's appealing now. She wants to go all the way to the Supreme Court. She's also promised that she's going to bring prayer back now that she's appealing it. So if we have folks that live in the West Valley, we really need to show up. And thanks, Janie. Janie says, also remember to thank Dem legislators who are doing the right thing so they don't feel isolated or unsupported. I feel like that's a really good point. Thank you for that. So yeah, there's a huge conflict of interest. They want to change out legal counsel and retain somebody else. And that's really scary. Her attorney was Andy Gould. She's getting free legal help. She's cost the district now $216,000 with this lawsuit, another $300,000 with a public record request before she even got on the board, and $250,000 when they got rid of the social worker grant and then had to go into their own carry forward bucket of money. They want to do away with social workers. They're hell bent on doing away with social workers. There was a social worker at the meeting, said, please, I'd love to help you. I can see that this is a policy problem for you. I'm an actual social worker with a PhD. I will help you. And he was like, actually, no, because they elected me and I know everything, essentially. Let's see. Yeah, she's going to resume reciting verses at board meetings. So let your voice be heard. There is another board member, Anthony Kern's sister, Sister Fratelli, and her name is actually Janelle Bowles, but she wants to mandate that everybody stand for the pledge, because she apparently doesn't actually know how anything works, and she wants to add the preamble. I'm pretty sure she wants to add the preamble just because it has our creator in it. I don't really know. There was a whole thing about patriotism in the classroom. It was very strange. The board president here, Heather Rooks, in a closed room all by herself, she scrapped the old mission, vision, and values of the district and wrote her own. It was the most uninspiring set of words I've ever seen in my whole entire life. She didn't consult with anybody. And when people implored the board, like, hey, this isn't really how it's done. Usually there's surveys that go out. There's a committee, there's a lot of stakeholders that do this. And they were like, no, we're not going to do it like that. So they're going to create a mission, vision, and values for a district that serves over 35,000 kids. And I don't know how many employees. It, like I said, very uninspiring, soulless. She even includes the ARS of the Parents' Bill of Rights. And parent is the focus. Students are not the focus in Peoria, not anymore. Sister Fratelli, also wants to bring in LifeWise Academy. LifeWise Academy is an organization that is really taking hold in places like Ohio, but it is growing all over the United States. And it's essentially a curriculum that will pull your kids out during school time to teach them Bible instruction. And remember, we also have a rural district that's doing that here already. Diane Post has been working on that. But they're kind of ignoring us. And unfortunately, unless we have a plaintiff for these cases, somebody who's willing to stand up and attach their name to it, our hands are kind of tied. So if you happen to be in a rural space or are willing, if you see something happening in your community and are actually willing to put your name to it, we really need help with that. So if you know anybody in Camp Verde who's willing to stand up to the fascists, please let us know. They also want to cut ties with ASBA, the Arizona School Board Association, ASBA has some of the best trainings and best practices. So of course, they don't want to do that. There is a new conservative school board group headed up by, her name is like Katie or Casey Ward. She's the daughter of Kelly Ward, or yeah, Kelly Ward. So, you know, you can, and Justine Wadsack is involved with that organization too. And, you know, just really terrible people. So, you know that it's not good. Another board, you may have seen my latest Substack. I had high hopes for President Carver in Deer Valley Unified School District. You may recall that he is a registered Republican who was there on January 6th, who is a member of the Three Percenters militia group. But for the last 2 years, he has been pissing off his party and has been citing, you know, just putting his party affiliation at the door. There's a reason why school board races are nonpartisan. And Paul Carver seemed to get that for the first 2 years of his tenure. But then the MAGA cult members got his ear, obviously, because he just voted in Dr. Karen Pack, who, you know, was endorsed by the 1776 Project, the Arizona Women of Action, Moms for Liberty, etc. He nominated her as the VP. And now everybody's mad at him. So it's kind of great because his own party, you know, he doesn't realize it, but he is now in the Leopards Are Eating Your Face party, and they are having a field day eating his face. You know, maybe he'll come back to his senses and leave his party affiliation at the door once again. But for now, I'm keeping a close eye on that board. Right now, I would call it a 2-2-1 board, meaning we have 2 pro-public education, 2 cult members, and then Paul, who's somewhere in between. And they are just hanging on by a thread. These poor people, not only did they lose their beloved president, Ann Ordway, but they also lost their bond and their override to the tune of about $1 million, and they are going to have to make some serious cuts. So it's really important for us to stay involved in our school board races. Oops, is that a duplicate? Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna just, there's a couple things I do want to, I'm gonna point this out every time. Please don't punch down. Please don't, you know, don't call Pete Hegseth a DEI hire, because that reinforces like their words. Please don't, blame the loss of the election on, male Latinos or trans people. Just don't do that. Like, we need to all stand in solidarity right now. And this is another recommendation I feel very strongly, is that you really need to protect your private life and data. If we didn't need to keep a personal Facebook profile, I wouldn't. But in order to have an organizational profile, you have to maintain a personal one. So I'm on Facebook less and less, but I wouldn't send any messages about any actions that you might be taking on any of those platforms. I would also download Signal instead of your usual messaging app, and I would turn on the disappearing messages if you're going to be talking about anything sensitive, because I'm not really confident that our personal data is safe. I mean, I haven't been confident for a while, but I'm really not confident right now. Let's see if I have anything else. Okay. If anybody is interested in joining our board of directors, I just wanted to keep this one up there too. We had a couple of people who had obligations where they just couldn't quite balance anything else. Yes, Janie says, don't use menstrual cycle apps. Absolutely do not do that. Or here's a form of resistance. If you're a menopausal woman like me, start using them and just put weird stuff in there. I don't know, see what happens. We do need legal help too. Our beloved Diane Post is going to be stepping down. She's never going to retire. I can tell you that right now. But in 2026, our goal is to hire a full-time legal director. So if you know somebody, and she would also love to have some help on that committee. We have a fantastic intern right now named Levi, who is just knocking it out of the park. So if you know a young person too, who maybe is in law school, let us know that too. And then finally, I said at the very beginning, but save the date. Our secular day at the Capitol is on the 6th. That's a Thursday. There are also various street fairs and home tours all throughout the spring and sprinkled throughout the summer. So if you'd like to table, we would love to have you. And I think, well, this is my little glimmer of hope. I love Andrew Seidel. Christian nationalists will not go gently into the obsolescence for which they are bound. This identity was born in the dark corners of their fearful minds, and they are raging against the dying of their privilege. So I've said it before, I'll say it again. They are loud, but we are many. So we just need to hang in, lift and lean as we can, and be there for one another. So with that, are there any questions that I may have missed, or does anybody want to add something or say something even? We're allowing people today, if you have something to say or share, or maybe if you're involved in an organization and you want to share, maybe if you've got something coming up, or if you know about actions that we can take to, fight against the fascist machine, please let us know. There are lots of things that we can do right now. You can try to purchase medical abortifacients, right? Let's see, please lend support to Death with Dignity bills. Oh, thank you. I didn't know there was a Death with Dignity. Okay, I need to go back. It's going fast now. Okay, Death with Dignity bills, SB 1404. I need to write this down. SB 1404, 2243, TARP. Have those been assigned to committee? Hold on, SB 1404 and 2243. House, yeah, let's see. They're not in RTS yet. Okay, so, but we could encourage, I imagine that's gonna be Health and Human Services. So I would maybe lean hard on the folks who are on the Health and Human Services Committee to allow that bill, especially the chair. I think Monday, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Monday is the last day for them to drop new bills. That doesn't mean there won't be strikers, desperate strikers that sneak their way back in. But there's definitely going to be this is the deadline on Monday. Okay. Mark is saying I could table, not sure when, depends on work schedule. Okay, if you fill out that volunteer form, Mark, we'll get in touch with you. Please practice using non-binary pronouns so you are ready when you meet someone who uses them. That's such good advice, Mars. I do that frequently when referring to somebody, or, they spoke so eloquently, didn't they? Instead. So thank you so much. That's a great point. It's an easy switch once you get used to it, and it just solves a lot of problems. I think I've spoken before about how we are a gendered language, right? Spanish is a gendered language, but there are many languages where they don't use gender. So this idea about pronouns somehow being bad is just so stupid. Let's see. And in kind, no, what does that say? And okay, I'm trying. Well, why can't I scroll? It's really, an in-kind note that Glisten, Arizona is currently rebranding to Education Action Alliance. Thank you, Tori, for pointing that out. Yes, they are going to rebrand Education Action Alliance. And I know Kelly Dupes, I think, is heading that up. So thanks for that. Yes, Monday is the last day for Senate. Monday is the deadline for Senate. February 10th is the deadline for the House. And again, I believe too in CEBV, they will have all of those deadlines. I think Diane's Now newsletter also has the deadlines. So sign up for those newsletters because they will keep you organized. Let's see. All right. Thanks, Phil. Thanks for all you guys do too. I appreciate you all a lot. If you want to help us in our fundraising efforts, I'm guessing that a lot of you already, open your pocketbook up to us. But if you have friends, if you know people that you think, what, they'd really like Secular AZ and they really believe in the mission of Secular AZ, reach out to them. Ask them, hey, can you spare $50? Or can you spare $5 a month for Secular AZ? Because they do really good work, and I think you'd really, like the work that they do, and you'd like the programming that they have. So with that, it is 1 o'clock. I love you, Secular fam. I didn't even look to see who is coming next weekend, but I'm sure they're going to be kick-ass. So whoever it is, it's never a disappointment. And seeing so many familiar names every week, even though it's Rage Friday, makes me anything but ragey. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you all, and keep up the good fight. Have a good day, everybody. Take care.